Well, I guess there we go. I'm going to hear myself. Darn it. There's a weird deal with our call today, but I'll do my best. Darn it. Well, we did have a ton of network problems, so it was definitely a challenge. This weekend, I spent at least 11 hours working on the... let me turn this down a little bit so I don't drive myself too crazy. Yeah, I worked 11 hours to get the networking going. I had calls into Uverse, and it was terrible. Hey, time roller. It was really not great. So I'm happy that it's at least working, but it's not a surprise. Everything else seems to be going, and the stream seems to be going, so it's working, but I don't know what's going on. Tomorrow, well, I might have to work with Derek on that one. Been there, done that. Yeah, it's crazy. It's, you know, we pay a lot of money for Uverse, and any kind of troubles is frustrating. And we've had nothing but lately. And we pay for cable, which, you know, the rest of the world is moving on. We probably are going to have to do the same thing, which is fine. I don't really have too much that I pay attention to on regular cable, or even television. My mom was like, well, you have TiVo, don't you? I'm like, I do have a TiVo that can do home, you know, like standard over-the-air stuff, and that would be pretty good. But too much to do. We are trying to get ready for the holidays, and it's been crazy. I think we still have a little bit more Christmas cards to do, and it's only the 12th, right? Still feels much later. The Advent calendar, I have been working on it, where I have all of them uploaded, the GameNight Advent calendar stuff. Have them all uploaded, but I don't have all the thumbnails. So I worked on the thumbnails yesterday for, I don't know, like, I was doing uploads. I have the Brothers Murph top 10s that I work on, and just all kinds of things. So it was a busy day. So let's see. Let's switch cameras. Should be able to use my TriCaster. Let's see if that'll... Yeah, there we go. So I did find Spider-Man Noir. And I'm glad. I don't know what I was doing. I had everything kind of disorganized the other day. The other thing that I noticed this morning, which I normally clean it out, which is this. So I was using this on Thursday's stream, and Angela was asking about it, Girly Gamer. And this is what's awesome about it. Like, you just push and they pop out. Almost all of them. The ones that are usually actually the contrast paints are the funkiest ones, but it seems like they're working great today. Maybe I've let them dry enough. But it's great because it really is simple to clean your palette. Hey, Mr. Fabi. Oh, the Grinch jersey is awesome. Isn't that one great? I don't think they have that one anymore. They do have, so I get those from Geeky Jerseys. I actually was contemplating ordering some more, which I really don't need. They have a Scrooge one. They have another Santa Claus one. And I think like in the next day or so is the final deadline to order if you want to give them for Christmas. I ordered the Krampus one, which you'll see soon on the top 10, on the Christmas Advent calendar video. And I wore that one last year, but the first time I got it, they were supposed to get it to me in time for Christmas, and it was really late. Now, they're in Canada, and I'm sure they ran into some, you know, probably just Christmas delays, right? You know, like too many things shipping and stuff like that. But I really love their jerseys. I have too many. I've been trying not to buy. I think I've got everything now, I hope. But there's like a Quick Stop one with Dante on it, which is what I would really have. Because all the ones that I have, they're Kevin Smith ones. Say Kevin Smith on it, you know. But yeah, I love those. And I would love to have more. They still have ones. The one I'm waiting for, which who knows if they'll ever do it, is the replicants. I want one that says replicants. There's another company called Jersey Ninja, which I've never ordered from. And they have pretty great jerseys too, and they have a ton of Christmas ones. There's one Santa, the North Pole Knicks, I think is what mine says, and I think they have one like that as well. But they have other ones like all kinds of stuff. And they have like rock and roll ones, like real bands like Iron Maiden and Def Leppard maybe, and I can't remember, there's a bunch. But I've not ordered them yet. They have a couple Star Wars ones that are redos or I don't know if they're copies or whatever. It seems like they're licensed and everything. But they have one that's Star Wars ones that are pretty great. So I ordered new brushes. I already have lots of brushes, but I don't have smaller ones, although I got to tell you, this is a size 2. Let's compare it to my size 4. I would say those are the same size. Kind of a drag. I had not opened them up. These were ones that were recommended. They're SAX, S-A-X. I mean, they're supposed to be pretty decent. Let's see here. That really looks the same. That's a disappointment. I really need some smaller ones. Let's get the stuff out of this starch. Or whatever they use. I really should just, I mean, I have several brushes, I have quite a few from Monument, which I like a lot, but some of them are not great. I think they've changed them all too, so I won't even mention the other brand, the other product line. But the ones from that Atom Smasher, you know, Tabletop Minions, those are pretty good, and they're like my favorite silicone fibers that they, or not silicone, synthetic fibers they have. So yeah, this is pretty beefy, and it's not really a great tip. Now let's go to some of the other ones. I should package the rest of these back up. They weren't too terribly priced. I got them from School Specialty. I think they're in Minnesota or something like that, or Wisconsin. Good price. I spent like $50 on 30 brushes, which is not bad, right? I mean, it's less than $2 a brush. Is that right? $50. I feel like I have more than that. 12, oh yeah, 24, 36, 42. Okay, there you go. So it's a little over $1. That was including shipping and tax and all that stuff. So these zeros seem pretty good. That's these here. I don't need any more 2s. That's a disappointment because I really have lots of 4s. And I like those 4s a lot. So these are zeros as well. So I have 12 zeros. I also bought some 1s. They're pretty big, but they're not as big as the others. So let's get one of those out. But I'd been wanting to buy it for a while. I just was never home. Do you know that the websites, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Fabby. I love their jerseys. I have at least 50, which if you add it up is a lot of money. Insane. And I keep going back to that well and getting more, and I really should not. I have far too many. So that was a 0. That cap fell off that. And I just pulled a 0 out or a 1. I pulled a 1 out. See, I don't know much about these. These are made in China. I think Saks was a British company. I don't know if they still exist. I mean, they do, obviously. That's what these are. But as they were. I really love Winsor & Newton brushes. I just wish they were a little longer bristled. I like them a little longer. And, you know, they're very expensive. I think I have a 2 maybe? Should look at it again. Well, there we go. And I have another 6 coming that's included in the total I gave that are, so these are 1s, 0s. It's another set of 2s in the white synthetic. I think they call it Taklon as well. These are called golden Taklon. Hawkins the person. I'm doing well. How you doing? You've never caught us live. Well, we do our streams Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays are in the morning. Thursdays are in the evening. This week's Thursday evening one will be game night, regular gameplay, and then the following Tuesday, this same time next Tuesday, will be gameplay. So you should catch us when Nikki's here. She's doing the Christmas stuff, so she's busy. I mean, she's got work to do too. We both are quite busy this season, even though my goal is to not be so busy. Wow, I don't know about this brush. Doesn't look great, but maybe it's still really not clean. It's definitely got a couple of hairs poking out there. It's okay though. I'm not that worried about what I get out of these. I'm sure they'll be perfectly fine. None of these are truly long lasting. My goal, I mean, that's why I like the Royal and Langnickel that I have. Those cost 32 cents per brush or something like that. And not all of them are great. The 1s and 2s are not as nice as these. As a matter of fact, I can show you some here. That was why I bought these, and I wanted some 0s. Let's see here. I think the 2s are red. Do I have one out? I probably do. Not there. But yeah, I don't feel you should, I mean, you do what you want to do as far as buying brushes and stuff like that. Some people definitely prefer the higher quality stuff. I mean, I have these here. These are actually Kolinsky Sables, and they're nice. These are from Monument Hobbies. You can't really see the brushes. Let's see here. This is a double lot, but let's look at their 1. So it's more like, let's see here. It's a little bit probably more like Winsor Newton. Boy, that is not clean. Did I not clean it? I don't think I've used this one though. They're nice, you know, and it's Kolinsky. You know, it's not a synthetic fiber, and you know, it's from an animal, and I'm sure. Oh, you live in Sweden. Timing bit off. On your 50th birthday, awesome. Happy birthday to you. Our streams are pretty good. We played a few good games recently. I think we did Comet, which I really like. That one's from Peter Prinz, designer. So we do those, and Nikki usually teaches that stuff, which is great. She's trying to get better at it, and I'm trying to be patient with it, because you know she's doing a good job. I just have a hard time tracking everything. And then let's see here. That was the 1, and here's a 2. Let's compare it to the 2 here. That's the 1. That's the 0. Here's the 2. So yeah, see, these are finer. So maybe the best way to go. I mean, part of the deal is you want it to have a fat belly, and these are not bad here, but to hold a lot of paint. So you're not going back to the palette or the pot too much. Yeah, on the Mr. Fabi, they had a sale for Black Friday, of course, and on the jerseys, and they had one of my favorite recent ones. Gosh darn it, what's it called? Troglodytes, but I think it had like maybe a reference to. I mean, it's Jekyll and Hyde is what it is. But it was $79. I almost bought another one just because I love that one so much. But I just could, like, even at $79, like, I'm like, I can't buy another jersey. I already have it anyway. But it is really a great design, and I guess people don't care for it if they're selling it for that cheap. But they had other stuff on sale too, so you might want to look out for. They don't have a ton of them. Mostly it's Black Friday. Maybe they'll have some Christmas stuff here, but as it's getting close to Christmas, I doubt it. But I love their stuff. They do some really good stuff. There are a few that I regret buying. Initially it was I needed to have all these colors. I got to have a red shirt. I got to have, and so, like one of the biggest disappointments was the Iron Man one, and it's okay. But now I don't need any more of that stuff. Wow, I wonder if these things are just. It's not coming off. These are definitely new. I thought I used these though. I guess not. I should just to see, because they're like $50 for these 5 brushes, I think. So that's a double lot, and 000, 1, 2, and 3. And they are different lengths. Interesting. But yeah, they're sable, so I'm not a huge fan. And then I'll show you the Atom Smash ones, which I think are. So I haven't used these, excuse me, so I shouldn't really judge them. Where's the cap? There it is. These are the Atom Smasher ones, and I bought some other ones too. I was going to show the 2. Here's one, right? Well, this is a bad one. I think I had gotten it, and it wasn't good from the start. Let's pull out a 2. I think this is a 2. It is. No, this is another 1. So we can compare the sizes on those. Is that a 2? Of course I can't. There it is. Can't see a single number of 2 on there. I really thought I had them all out here. Not a big deal. So here's a 2. 1, 2. We'll compare those to the others. So this is the 1. This is the 1. They're pretty close, but I think the point is better on the sacks. Now, this one hasn't been cleaned. Let's clean it up and see. We got all this starch in the water here. What's the model I'm going to paint? So I'm going to be painting some of the Spider-Geddon models. This one here is one of the. There's like 10 in this set. We had some CMOD people over in the studio the other day, and I was asking them about the delivery date of these, because I bought these in Gen Con in August, and they said it would be coming out in October, and still not here. So anyway, there's get that one again. Yeah, I mean, these aren't too bad. This is a 1. So ultimately, I kind of didn't get what I needed. I got more of the same. And it just depends on the brush. This 0 looks, I mean, these don't, the Royal and Langnickel ones don't come in 0s, but these look about the same. But the tip is a little longer on the 0 here. Let's go to the 1. There's a 2. Goodness gracious, I'm a knucklehead. Just, I guess the 1 I think was just bad. So yeah, this is a 1, and it's got longer. I just like the longer point. I have more control. So let me put this one back, since I have it. I don't know why I didn't see. I guess I was looking for that red. So there's the 2. Let's compare it to the 2 here. Of course, this one's kind of squished. But it looks like this has longer bristles, so, which is my thing. It's work related, I guess so. I don't get to write them off. I just love them, and I've been using them for a long time. So these are both 2s. And I don't love this 2 from Saks. It's a little fat and a little sloppy, but it probably will be okay. I like 2s a lot. That is probably one of my favorite. Let me put some magnifying glass, some reader glasses on here so I can see the bristle. I'm actually going to trim this one that is not going to get straightened out. Wow, it really looks like there's a lot of them, like poking out at the edge. And that's a disappointment. But these are not made with care like the Winsor Newton or the Raphael. I don't know, if $20 and if the brush lasts a long time, maybe that's the way to go. You have to care for them. So these are different lengths too, but those were well, no, they were different lengths and different sizes. Anyway, so here's the Atom Smasher ones, the tabletop minions, and I love these. These I've used, and they're synthetic, but see how long these are? That's a 2. That's a phenomenal 2, actually. Let's compare it. Yeah, see how fat this 2 is? So partly, it's good to have the belly, but those are 2 different kinds of brushes. We shall see. Now, that's the other downer. I used to go to not a hobby store, an art supply store here in the valley called Continental, and they went out of business 5 years ago. It was a real downer because for both Nikki and I, we really loved going over there, and we didn't go as often as we should have. But I don't think our going there would have helped the business any. But we bought brushes there and paints and all kinds of stuff. Papers were our favorite thing there, and they just don't have them anymore. There's nothing like that. There's a bunch of numbers here. Time roller. What does that mean? Who knows? Anyway, numbers, quotation marks, / backslash / maybe, or V, I don't know. Anyway, so I was working on this one here, and I do not remember what it was called. Let's see if I can figure it out here. I do have them. Is it Antivenom? That is who this is. So this is Antivenom. His mouth is the paint is very shiny. I don't know what the deal is with that. I got some on his tooth too, so I need to deal with that. It looks pretty cool. I'm not sure about the, I'm sorry, you can't see that probably. I'm not sure about the spider stuff. I probably need to put a little bit more darkness on that. Now, so I'm using Basilicanum Gray, and it's pretty good. I love it. It's actually one of my favorite colors, but when you thin it down, which I had, you're going to get more of a gray. I mean, it's a gray. That's what you're supposed to get, but when I use it straight, it's pretty black. I use it as a leather all the time. It's what I like as one. Let's see here. So let's just do a little bit of, it's really dark though. Let's try one of the new brushes. This is the 0. Boy, I like the length of the bristles though. Put it on this. I bought one of these stands, the mini holder, Citadel, recently. We went to the only GW store we have in the area now. And I always buy stuff. I was there to buy the Lamian medium, but I ended up buying the handle as well because I had tried it twice actually, once last year and once this year in Germany, and I really liked it. But I have 5 or 6 of the other ones, the old ones. Where's that at? Wow. There's too much stuff on the desk, that's for sure. I need to, oh there it is, it fell down. So this is the old one. And it's pretty good in my hand, but this smaller one seems pretty good too. I don't need any more. I have so many paint handles, but I thought I'd try this one. And I think I have a box of 5 of these because they stopped making these a few years back, and so I ordered a box of 5 just to have them. This is the green, red grass one, and it doesn't have the jaws like this. It uses like poster tack, and it's pretty good. They have a newer version of this one that I think is weighted, and this might be knurled, or something, like some stuff to grip it, because it lets you twist it. I like this one too. I have 2 of these. I backed it when I backed like one of their wet palettes. I use both their wet palettes. I'm actually frustrated with them right now because I want to buy some extra stuff, really just some sponges. And they haven't gotten them in stock yet, back in stock. That's from them directly. Yeah, this doesn't look dark enough. The problem is then it becomes just too black. I'm trying to do a little bit of like what this shading that they're doing on the original paint job. I've downloaded all the photos from these Kickstarters because I really appreciate it. It's like, obviously they're great painters and they design the miniatures too. It's a Big Child Creative. I believe they're Brazilian. And it's just great stuff. I got Candace coming over today to do some filming, and I should get her back to painting. That was fun. It's still kind of going on gray. I'm using it in the full power here. I mean, it should be great, but when I put it on directly, I wonder which ones. I don't think I have one around here that I've done. And it's just very, it looks like leather to me. Leather's, or at least some leather. Black leather's not that black. I'd really hoped to paint yesterday. I wanted to be through these and on to the others. So I was looking for the other minis and thinking I had screwed something up as far as organizing the images, because I have it in a folder that's Spider-Geddon. And it turns out I didn't. I just hadn't primed the other ones. They were still in the box. And there's a Spider-Man in there that I should have primed already because it's kind of related. Out of focus. Wonder what's going on. But yeah, we were trying to be a little bit more mellow for the December, because doing these Advent calendar videos is hard. You think, oh, it's 9 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 20 minutes. They take forever. It's not just that, it's just all the elements of it, but I love doing it. And we had a really great time playing it. But we're trying to make it take a little bit easy, but I still have way more. And so I'm spending a long amount of time. If I wasn't doing all the internet stuff that I had to deal with this weekend, I would have been working on them anyway, because I just want to have them finished as much as I can, and then just take it easy and hang out with Nikki. We actually we have a history of playing Age of Empires, Age of Kings in recent years. We used to play it 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, but we bought the definitive edition on Steam, and we play it, and we finally sat down and played it yesterday. The fun thing about it is there's like I am sad too, because that will change. They have Christmas themed maps, and so like the trebuchets, I was doing trebuchets in the game, and they were throwing packages, gifts. And I had forgotten about that. I was looking, I'm like, I'm like, oh, that's right. Those are gifts, packages. So that was fun. And then they have like a great snow map, which may be available normally. But yeah, we have fun with that. Okay. I can hear myself too loud. I need to figure that out. I still have the call up. I should kill it. It's more data. It's not really the data, the bandwidth. I've never seen the Venom movie, either of them, and I have both of them. I think I got the second one. But I need to watch it. Because I really don't know anything about the character. I played the Venom pinball machine a few times. That one's new, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty decent brush. This is the 0. I did not do a good job on that tongue. These chibis are funny. The legs are so tiny. But I mean, of course, he's super brawny, right? So. Out of focus. Oh, that's right. Andy Serkis directed the second one of these movies. Sad about the flack that the Marvels has been getting. I have not seen it. We really wanted to, but it was... Nikki really loves Captain Marvel. And they always come out right out as we were going to Dallas for BGG-Con. And it was just not the right timing. We thought about trying to go while we were in Dallas, but it couldn't happen. But I really want to get these done, especially since it's about ready to come out. We probably will do another game night with Marvel United. We'll do the Spider-Geddon. Although I really wanted to do the Thanos one at one point, because we just played the base game, and I think we've played X-Men on the stream. Pretty sure we have. So I generally do the bases gray and some color. For example, this one, I don't even know what was going on in the picture, but it looks kind of weird. but I was kind of going for whatever they did. But I'll probably come back and dry brush it to gray it up a little bit. But I like the miniature to be the focus. So let's see, do I have any over here? I do have a few. No, they're not done. Oh, this one's done. So this has some color. I show this one all the time. This is because I was going for the OSL kind of thing, going with the flaming hair or whatever. And so the shoulders and stuff like that. But it does have color. I don't have any of them done. I mean, I do. I have tons of them, but not enough. I really want to get through. I have to get through the first season or whatever they're calling it. So we played a game called Cthulhu Dark Providence. That is available on pre-order now. That's why Simon people were here. We had one of the designers. It's designed by Martin Wallace and Travis Chance. It's based on, it is a redo of Study in Emerald, which is based on Neil Gaiman's story. This one is not. So that's a Study in Emerald, which I'd love to play just because I love the Sherlock Holmes theme. This one's actually based on, you know, kind of like Lovecraft stuff, but it's their own version. They have Cthulhu Death May Die, which was designed by Eric Lang and Rob Daviau. And I was very excited to play this. I talked to Travis for a while about it, you know, well before it was announced, and we talked about doing it on the show, and it just kept getting their part. You know, they had delays from production, and we had a good time with it. So it should be an episode this week if we get it done. Derek is editing it, but yeah, it was one more thing to do where we were trying not to do a bunch of stuff this holiday season, and we're doing it anyway. I think if you if you use most of the paint, that's when it doesn't clean out of this fidget popper with the contrast paints. Because it's totally fine here on ones that were allowed to dry. Ooh, what was that? A little thump of the music. We also, this weekend, made, just perfect for the time of the year, we made Magic Shell. So Magic Shell is this stuff that you can, Dairy Queen used to do it. It wasn't called Magic Shell. That was a dip cone. And it puts like a hard candy shell over your ice cream. And we don't have Dairy Queen very much here. And so we decided to try to make our own. And I knew you could do it. I'm like, it's pretty sure it's made out of coconut oil and whatever, you know, like the baking nibs or whatever they call them. And so we did that. We bought the stuff and made, butterscotch is one of the ones that we love. And you never get it at Dairy Queens anymore. It's always chocolate. And we went to one in Texas with Scott, and they had churro, which was, you know, cinnamon, and I don't know if it really was like a churro, but it tasted pretty good. But it was a limited time thing. Okay, that's a little better. Let's see if I can do a thin layer of white over this just to soften this. It's very strong. So I'm doing is just a little bit of like highlights on his tongue. Okay, so let's go to something else. I could try dry brushing. I don't have a lot of paint here, so I only want a little bit. I resisted buying another airbrush. There was a Harbor Freight near us, and they, wow, where's that board? Did it fall? It did. And they had a 25 or 20% off coupon, which they're trying to get me back in the store, which is funny because I go in there often enough that I wouldn't need one. And more paint. I'm really not sure. I've watched some of the videos. There's I need to get the artist soap, try the artist soap stuff. They had a booth at Spiel, and I didn't have time to get over there, and I was very disappointed because I wanted to buy some of their stuff. It's very expensive to ship it here, but they have a pad that you dampen your dry brush before putting the paint on, and I'm intrigued by that. I've watched a lot of videos of his, and his stuff is great. Like, his skills are amazing. Plus, I think Element Hobbies, I think he's part of or owns Element Hobbies, which I've almost bought stuff from several times. I almost bought an airbrush from them, even though I'm trying to not buy airbrushes. And his stuff is great. He really has some great techniques. And one thing they use is a dry brush palette, which I've made my own. I would have bought one if I had gotten to their booth, but I made my own on the laser cutter. And it's pretty cool. One of the things that they claim is that the paper, when you use like a paper towel or something like that to dry your brush on, to get the paint to a minimal amount, too many fibers and so you're not seeing any of this. This is actually helping. It's not as intense. These are the Army Painter. I have 3 of them. I bought the set, and they're pretty good. For me, they do a good job. I didn't dampen it. I should have, because it definitely got dry. If you can see it, there's little clouds of it's dry still. So I definitely am not dampening it up enough. It's weird though, there's like a wet method, a dry brush wet method, and I'm not certain how that works. Because I see it going on far too strong for what dry brush is to me, but that's probably part of his technique. I saw Lila Mev do a video with that, and I'm like, it's not really dry brush, but she was probably doing the same kind of technique. But I guess, I'm not sure. I mean, it's not a total ton of paint, right? It was still wet though. So yeah, I used the Catan tiles as the pattern. That is damp. In my opinion, too damp. I saw some folks had made some on Etsy, dry brush palettes. And they were, ugh, that's too much. Yucks. Gotta let that dry. Yes, that's too wet. It's not what I want. I really need to do more of this technique and see. Because basically you're supposed to get to where there's no paint. Like you don't see very much going. I mean, you can see here it highlighted these sheep. That's fine. So this is the smallest and kind of the not best of the three, but size-wise, it's kind of what I want. These are the other two. These are not terrible. I think they were $20 for the three. Much, much more money for the other ones, but they might be better. I'm certain the bristles are probably a little better. So that is very wet. You can see it down on the bristles. Now you really shouldn't get dry brushes too wet because the ferrule that holds the bristles is not the same. I mean, it's the same idea, but it's not very solid. Makeup brushes are the same thing. I have these makeup brushes, so these are the e.l.f. and they're great. Hey, look at that big old cloud. Is that dust or? Wow, I've used that recently. Doesn't smell like dust, so that's more paint. Wow, that was a cloud. This one, I've used this one more recently. Wow, I think that's dust. Anyway, these are $4 or $5. They do, this was $4.50, let's say, and this was $3 or something. And it's the same idea, but the ferrule is not very strong. It doesn't really hold the bristles as tight. Now, these use a different kind of hair. I think it's, I don't know. Can't remember. I saw some that were different companies. There was a Kickstarter for one recently. A bunch of brushes and stuff, which I was intrigued by. So, black. There's the black. As long as this, I could do with camera being further back, a little too close. Okay. Let's try it. How many MM figures are, they look close to 55. Are you talking about the Marvel United Spider Spawn? There are so many. There are 10 in this kit, and there are tons. Let's try a little bit further out. The problem is you really can't see it, but maybe it'll focus better. The other issue is this lens, just weight, it sags. So I have a little piece of tape. So yeah, so here's, I guess we can go with that. Oh. But I'm going to paint the base black. Oh yeah, Marvel United. There's so many. I think that there's well over 200 now. And then there's going to be more. Now this is if you back the whole thing. There's going to be more with the multiverse, or is that what they call them? And Marvel United Multiverse. And I'm excited about those. I have them coming. I actually saw that they were going to be delayed, at least not March shipping. So it gives me more time to pretend I can get through all of them. I would love to be done and be ready for those. Okay. Well, I can't do it on the base, the holder. It's interesting. It looks like it's 3D printed. I know it's not. When they do them for the Kickstarter, they are 3D printed. There have been some differences from the models as during the Kickstarter compared to when they were finished, which is completely understandable. Like, you're making it so that they can be molded. 3D printed ones you could do whatever you want. It's not, obviously you have to worry about, yeah, this is one of the reasons why I don't zoom out. It wants to focus on too many things. I think my paint mat, which is just one that I happen to like, they don't even sell these anymore. Anyway, yeah, so they 3D print them and then change them up sometimes. We did see the Galactus one at, Nikki and I both took a picture of that one at Gen Con. And I saw some pictures at Comic-Con. They had a promo there, which I don't have. I have one of two of the promos. And the promos are just cards. Hey, my finger. Touch that very strongly. So it looked 3D printed before. It's really going to look 3D printed now because it's going to have my fingerprint on it. I don't have oily hands, which is fortunate for painting minis, but I don't like handling them anyway. So this would definitely be something I would put on the paint handle. Wow, got some on there too. It's messy underneath there, and look at my hands. So you let that dry. You don't want it to tear, because once the paint starts to dry, it makes a solid, nice, smooth film. So I'll put that on there. Try to clean off my hands so I don't get paint everywhere else. Don't paint your figure, paint your mini. Ah, hey Steph, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. We are busy here. Okay. Wow, that sounded like I cracked that already. One thing about the contrast paints, which is another reason probably not to use natural hair brushes, is it gets to the ferrule. No matter what I do, it's like right there in the ferrule already. It's just too wet, you know, the paints are already pretty thin. Because I'm not adding a lot of paint to this, that's for sure. It's not super wet. Okay, it's already drying pretty fast. We have the paint dries here quickly. Now it's not truly dry. You got to give it a little more time than that. But I could probably put I put a final coat of the one of the blacks. I usually use the black Templar. It does something. This is something Adam did, Tabletop Minions, and it was like totally makes sense. I mean, I don't know why it works. Whatever the heck's going on with the acrylic paints, the contrast paints, is intriguing, you know. She's mostly done. Her hair also has some shininess to it, which I don't know what is going on there. Big Child Creatives, that is their name. Their stuff is really nice. I think, I don't know for sure that they do the Zombicide. I did get, even though I didn't back it, I got a good chunk of the Marvel Zombicide. 2 of the main game boxes, and then I think the full box for the stretch goals. Scott had ordered extra, and he's like, go ahead and take it. So the issue, he's like, he told me I should actually back it with BGG credit card, and I was like, the thing is people, because he's like, we can make content of it, and the problem is I don't like to do the stuff where you can't buy it. With the Marvel United, there's some of them have started to become available, and that might have just been production things. But, and so maybe the same thing will happen with Marvel Zombicide. At least a good chunk of the stuff might come out, but it just generally doesn't happen, or at least for a while. And that's a bummer, because who wants to be teased by stuff that you can't buy? And I've never actually played Zombicide. I would like to. I have Invaders, which I think is like their space one, which thematically I think would be one of my favorite ones, and then I think Marvel would be a good one too. So I have the Marvel Zombicide, those 3 boxes, plus I have the retail small box thing, which only had like 4 minis. And there's nothing wrong with that. Less minis would be fine. I have far too many. Wow. So theoretically, you can see the paint is not getting far down the bristles. This is a standard acrylic. And the other one's just, the acrylic, they're acrylic as well, but the contrast paints and the speed paints are they flow much better. And so they go right to the ferrule, which when that happens, it forces your bristles to spread if you get too much in there and let it dry. Now, I try hard to clean it. This brush seems fine though. Again, this is a 0. I was hoping the 2 would be like this. So this is the 2. So from now on I need to order the 0. Dries pretty quick. I mean, look at this one. It's dry. I mean, it's not 100% dry. There's a little bit there that might still be damp. But we are very, very dry here right now. We haven't even seen the new Spider-Man animated show. I need to see if I'll probably buy the Blu-ray. They did not do it in 3D. The last one was in 3D. It was amazing. But I guess they had such crazy frame rates and stuff that they couldn't do it. And they didn't even sell it in the Blu-ray, 3D Blu-ray in the United States. Had to order it from Europe. Okay. The one issue is you have to know what you're dealing with, right? With these bases, the purple ones are, is that right? Purple? Blue and red and purple. So yeah. Purple's the anti-hero, and the blue are the heroes, and the red is the villains. So I don't have that visual cue doing them like this, but I prefer the look of it. More on my finger. So you definitely don't want to touch them after you've got it done. I really want to do the Penny Parker one too. Then I was like, wow, I don't have that one. Is that the... I thought that was part of the next run of stuff, and then I realized I had not primed them. Oh, you know what? I did not finish her. I painted the base. But she's actually not done silk. Her webbing. Painted all that red too. No, I didn't skip the spiderweb stuff. Oy vey. Dirty hands. Well, let's try to do that. So I mostly use this is like a pretty solid red. Hey David, how you doing? Hope your weekend went well. You missed the beginning where I said I spent 11 hours at least working with our ISP and our internet in the house. So the way we work is we have a standard gateway from our cable company. It's actually our phone company. And behind that, I have a mesh network. And that's so that we can connect the building, you know, our house and our studio, and have connection walking back and forth, you know, all that stuff. And it works great for the most part, but whatever happened recently, it was all behaving poorly. And so I thought it might be the gateway. I mean, it still seems like it probably is the gateway. And but having dealt with them, you know, on the phone and got it all as best as we can, it seems like it's working now. But man, it was a nightmare. I'm not really a fan of contacting tech support if I don't need it, only because, you know, they go through like the standard stuff, but they ended up rebooting our, like resetting our gateway, which was a bummer because I had set it on, we have it set up to bridge mode, which isn't terribly hard. But what was happening was I decided to change the IP pool, address pools. I let the mesh network actually handle DHCP. And boy, that was, you know, I have some stuff that gets through. So I have to hook up specific locations so that I can get to it outside of the network. And that was all fine. It's all working again, but oh my gosh. Oof, I think that's too much. So you can clean it. But you have to let it dry considerably before you go back and paint. But the paint gets a little dark. David wrote, let's see, it's good you got it working. Yeah, I've had that problem. Most of the time I know more about than they do, absolutely. The problem is there's definitely something wrong. And I thought the gateway was failing, and it may be. But the reboot maybe resolved that. It seems it has at least lasted. We couldn't even get cable working. By the time I went to bed on Saturday, nothing was working. So no phone, no internet, no cable. I was sad because Adam Driver was on SNL and I wanted to see that. I'm sure I could catch the best bits. Catch the best bits on YouTube or something like that. Keep making a mess here. Too much paint on the brush. That was my problem, dude. Is that like they were saying that they would retain the information so that if I called back, but I almost kept having to explain what was happening and what we had done. Plus, I had like multiple calls. I had 2 with folks in the Philippines, I believe, and they were great. They were helpful, but it wasn't the answer. Although that's not true. It mostly worked, but it was the cable that wasn't working later, and I got a guy in Oklahoma who was very helpful too. But it's not fun. Because, you know, I was rebooting the router, doing all the things you should do, or resetting it, or resetting the gateway, and none of that stuff was anything different. I think resetting the modem, the gateway, and maybe making sure the firmware was updated might have been the problem solver. All I'm doing is making a mess there. So I'll just leave it. It's under her arm anyway. So usually I wouldn't be painting the base. I wouldn't have painted black around the base had I realized I hadn't finished this, because I'm handling it too much. Plus there's something here, like a little excess something there. So you had your router failed too? So that's been, I replaced my router as well. Mine was 3 years old. And that did not solve the issues. But I think the gateway was my problem. I mean, and potentially the router. It's a little frustrating that they don't last that long. Potentially. I had a different one. I think that was I don't think it was a Kickstarter, but it was crowdfunded. And it was a early one, mesh network. And I was sad because Amazon had money through it, 18 to 24 months, wow. I guess that's a lot of stuff. I mean, I have problems with other things that fail as far as too often. USB hubs, USB 3 hubs. I don't think the chipsets are any good on them. And I have, so you know, nowadays you have so many USB devices hooked up to your computer. But I mentioned that I had a problem to Scott, and you know, because yesterday I was basically getting back down to doing work again. For the most part, it was still having some issues. And then he had something. He has the same stuff. He convinced us to buy it when we were streaming for the pandemic live streams where we were doing conventions. So I think we were getting it ready for Spiel, and pretty sure. And we were having some issues because, you know, I mean, I was using a residential. I mean, this one I got now is residential as well, but it's a brand that Scott prefers. And they're not cheap. It's $1,000 worth of gear. I could add dirt green color to the base of the gravestone. Probably. I mean, you know, as I was saying earlier, I generally don't do too much on the bases because I want you to focus on the mini. But it does have like grass, so I have done like sometimes of copper or metal pipes or something. So I'll probably do a little bit of green for the weeds or the stuff coming up on the tombstone. Actually contemplated some static grass or something for this one. I'm not really sure what he's doing. He's stepping out of a hole or a spot. But it definitely looks better dry brushed so that green's not as intense. There's an S in here, and I can't tell whether it's painted on the mini, but they're mini anyway, but I will paint it. Ah. Boy, that's hard to see. That's right, I was talking about the magic shell. The funny thing was it makes so much. So I would have the recipe. I found somebody had one on the web that was just the chips and the coconut oil. And then there was one they did with peanut butter. And they sweetened it, additional sweetener. Too much. But maybe I'll go with it. I did a lot of the spider webs on the Spider-Gwen, and it was challenging. Because I did it inside the cowl of her hoodie, but I love doing it. It's really great. That one I did when I was painting with Scott. That looks cool. Yeah, there's a little bit of dry tip going on here. This brush is not bad. Now this is a 0. It's basically a 2. They don't match on any of these. You know, you go from one manufacturer to the next, even within the same company, their ranges are slightly different, and it's kind of a drag. Did I get something on her? I think I did. Dave, Nikki, and Lincoln Doppelgangers, that would be awesome. Hey, Joe Bringers, have been watching Game a lot, but wanting to start painting minis. Can you recommend a starter set? Yeah, see. Oh, wow, you're going to do Marvel's Zombicide as well. I don't think you should buy a starter set. Now, if you want to go with, because I mean, I basically feel you should buy the colors you need, but if you're going to buy a set, I think the Army Painter ones, I mean, GW has sets now. I think they've always had sets, but they really have sets now. Oh, it just popped off. I have a little reservoir over here that you push the button in, it lets you flush out the water. The GW has some, but for the dollar value, and I think the Army Painter paints have been pretty cool that I've used so far, have been great. So they have like a $40 or $50 set that you can get that will do a pretty good job with the colors, because you can always mix colors. I was doing that a lot in the first run of the GW colors, because they didn't have like this red. I love this red. I don't know that GW, I was actually hoping for a red from, our friends were going to bring it, because none of the stores we have around us have Army Painter speed paints. There's one now in Pasadena that's not really close that had some, but of course they introduced the 2.0 paint, so I didn't buy it. But I think that you would probably do better with a small set and then buying what you need beyond that. Don't go too crazy, especially since your starter set anyway. But the trick that I do is I do the zenithal highlighting. It means that it does the shading for me. So it's already, you can see the light from above in the dark. Now I cheated this one a lot because I wanted his face to be bright, and here's a better example, one of the GW minis as far as a more subtle. But when you put the paint on, you get the shading right already. Now, contrast paints are designed to do some of that shading for you, and the way you do that is you paint the mini all white. That was what I did on this one. This is the very first thing, one of the very first minis I painted in 2019 with the new contrast paints. And it does a pretty great job. Now I did a little bit of work here to make it look kind of like non-metallic metal, but you know, I just painted it, you can't see. I painted it in and let it settle. This is a very strong paint, so it doesn't have a lot of shading, but you'll notice it's darker inside and lighter on the parts that would have the sun, you know, coming down on it, sort of. Zenithal amplifies that, but it also has dark spots, so you don't always get the shading you want. Now, this one here, I didn't paint any of the white. I mean, I did. I painted it black, then painted it gray, then painted it white, and then just did the spots and then the rockets or whatever coming out of him. And that's it, but that looks great. Look at the Daredevil I have here. All I did was I used this red, and I had Zenithal highlighted it. Come on, focus. And it was one coat. I might have put another coat on his helmet. And I still haven't done, like, I'll probably do a little bit of dark on the seams or whatever going on there, but look at the shading. And that comes from Zenithal highlighting. So there's multiple methods you can do. You could spray can, so you spray can it black, or undercoat it with white, with black paint, black primer, and then do the spray white for the Zenithal. It's okay. I like doing 3 tones, so it's black, gray, and white. Now this one here, I didn't want too much white. Again, this is one I didn't paint that much. I primed it, did the Zenithal highlighting, and then did a little bit of stuff, you know, like touches on his gun and stuff like that. Turned out pretty good. I love the back of the door or the wall here. Let's see, do I have any of these? I don't have any of the Termagants unpainted or primed. But I feel that it's a quick way to learn. The best way to do this, though, is with an airbrush. An airbrush is intimidating. I bought this one here recently. This was the Gallery Ace. I paid, I think, $89, which was a good deal because it's not that cheap. This one comes with quick release and stuff like that. I use a compressor. You need to pretty much use a compressor. You can do canned CO2, which I don't recommend. But I also have, where's the compressor? I have a rechargeable compressor. Goodness gracious, where is it? Haven't used it for a little while. It's got to be around somewhere. Anyway, it's like a $70. I think I got mine for $60. Compressor with a little rechargeable compressor. Where is it? That's what I get for not touching it for a little while. Tape, Spencer. Let me see if I can track it down. I really love it. I use that compressor almost exclusively. I don't know how good it will be or how long lasting it will be, but it does a really good job. The airbrush is okay. It is, you know, I think $100 is about the minimum you need to spend for pretty good. You can get some good Badgers on sale. Sometimes I'll show you the airbrush that came with it at least. But it's not that hard. And it's not that hard to fix mistakes. So this is the airbrush that came with the compressor. The compressor is actually red aluminum as well. Gosh, what did I do with that? I mean, all you're doing is spraying black, gray, and then white. That's what I do. So you do black all over the place, and you can see here I didn't do a great job getting underneath his arms there with the black. So I'll probably have to hand paint that. But you spray the whole thing black. You really can't see it. Then you go in at a 45-degree angle and spray gray all over, but you know, you're just trying to keep the dark parts underneath, and then you come in with the white and you go directly straight down. So you know, you'd hold your miniature like this and spray it. I do cheat and do the face. If your paint's thin enough and you're close enough to the miniature with the nozzle, you can actually do pretty good detail and get highlights on the face. So you know, because the face is, like, to me, the most important part of the miniature. Now, this has a lot of light shading on it, partly because these guys are going to be like mostly black, I think. But it's not that bad. So you just have to practice a little bit. Now, this is an okay brush. I don't know how easy it is to buy parts for it. That's one of the things that I feel you should be able to do if you want a good airbrush. The gallery one, it's made in China as well, but they sell needles now. They actually sent me this one because I actually had a problem with the one that came with this. It had a very tiny bend, and I couldn't get it completely straight. I tried straightening it out myself. They have like a memory steel or something. I don't know. It doesn't get bent too easily. But you couldn't really see it. I used this loop, magnifying glasses, and book readers, and I could see it. And this is actually the good one. And the other one's fine though. I mean, I mostly got it straightened out. But this is a nice airbrush. Ow, I'm stabbing myself. It's $100. It's $120 normally. There's a new brush, which I have coming soon. Should be the last airbrush I bought. It is from Harder and Steenbeck. Harder and Steenbeck definitely has, they have parts, number one. You can get parts for sure. Number two, they use the same parts throughout their range. So you could get the nozzle for that one. This has sort of a similar kind of a nozzle, but not really. But you could replace the parts, and their new brush, it's called the Ultra. Now, I'm not a totally advanced airbrush painter, but I've used them for a long time. This new one has, I'm using this as an example, it has like a gauge here that you would rotate. So if you're going to do priming, it's a certain amount of, you know, if it's thin properly, it'll be the right amount of paint to do the base coat, the undercoat. Then they have like layer, I don't know, there's 5, I think, different levels. The other thing that they have on that airbrush is when you're painting, you press down, you should get air first, then pull back for the paint. Wow, this is a strong spring. So yeah, you push down and pull back. It forces you to do that. The new airbrush from Harder and Steenbeck, the Ultra, which is the beginner airbrush, forces you to do that. You cannot pull the trigger back without pushing down for the air first. It's fantastic. It's a great idea. That airbrush is about $100 from, you can order that from directly. That's what I did. There's a guy, the Art Project, I think, maybe. He does a lot of videos. He actually is a great painter, airbrush painter, and he reviews airbrushes. And so he reviewed I don't have the Ultra yet. He reviewed it recently. Mine is, I ordered it a month and a half ago. I think it was supposed to deliver in November, but it has been delayed. And it looks great. It looks really good. You know, most airbrushes, if you get close, you can do almost hair thickness lines. And that one is definitely, it's a friendlier nozzle. I can't remember what this one, I mean, this has a couple. This is probably a 4, I can't remember. but that one comes with a 4.5 nozzle, small. I mean, it's not that small. The smallest one they do is like 1.5. I think the one that I have has a 2, a 4, and a 1.5. I have a Harder and Steenbeck airbrush, and they really are nice airbrushes. So I will say about this one though, nobody's doing it yet. These guys are. This cup is so polished, and the reason why that's important is it is easy to clean. So I have to clean between, when I'm doing these airbrushing the black to the gray to the white, I actually clean the airbrush out. I want it to be as close to the actual color that I'm spraying. Black, white, and gray, not a big deal if they get mixed up too much, but I still clean it out. And this is amazing. They do make a cheaper version of this, 68, I think. This is the 98. The cheaper one is very similar, same nozzles, so very much like what Harder and Steenbeck's doing, but they don't have the cup as polished as this one. And that's not necessarily important. It's just something I like. Over the years, I've had like struggle to get the paint out of the cup, especially after I'm done. I don't really want any paint in my cup because I don't want any flakes to go into this flow. That clogs things up and makes it a mess. I don't have Loki here. I have Loki. He's okay. I don't know what I was showing that you might have thought was Loki. But I do have Loki, and I had fun painting him. I will be painting another copy of him here soon. Yeah, I think that airbrush is the way to go. And then the other way to do it, which is not bad, let me go grab those real quick. I'll have to disconnect from the audio. So I started to paint. I got another box set of the main box, the very base box of Marvel United. And I was going to do it I'm only 2 miniatures in. I'm doing it the dry brush method. Now, I will tell you, I'm not as 100% sold on, okay, so there's, there we go. So I'll show you the two regular, whoa, I don't know what's on there, but there it all goes. Must have bumped it. That is my little portable paint tray. So I have them, here are the two that I've done. Wow, do I have 3? Oh no, that's different miniature. They do have the ladies ones definitely have a similar look, kind of. Anyway, put this back. And here they are. So, these are being dry brushed to the Zenithal Highlight. And I got to tell you, some of this is fantastic. I love the Iron Man one. And I have another idea I want to try. I'm going to do Ultron because I don't think I have another Iron Man. I might. I have, how many sets do I have? I don't know. I have a few. But what I did is I painted it entirely black. So these are the first ones I did. And these are early on. These are some of the very first ones I painted. I was very happy with Black Widow's face. Hey, how you doing, Carbon Dax? I definitely went back in and painted this face white because I was unhappy with how dark it was. Now, you're going to see here where I dry brush this one. So her face, they're not in focus. Come on. So her face is dark, darker. You could do the same thing and paint it, but this was dry brushed. I painted it entirely black and then dry brushed it with white paint. I didn't do any gray. And this was early, so this was Zenithal, and you could see it's darker underneath, but it's a little brighter. Here's the one I did where I dry brushed it, but I didn't dry brush it white, I dry brushed it silver. So I used like a darker silver, then I used metallic medium, I think is the highest point, I think. I'm gonna sneeze here. Excuse me. Okay, so I think I used that. I might not have. I wish I had actually, for sure no, because it is definitely helpful to use the metallic medium. But look how great these look. These are dry brush zenithal highlighting. I don't even have a problem with this. It's just I love this one so much that I'm biased. But they both look great. And I love the dry brushing. I love I put a good amount of dry brushing on that the Black Widow symbol there. And I like it more than this one. So yeah, I think contrast paint's a quick way to go, and it's a little more expensive, so that's why I say maybe the one of the base sets for the Army Painter speed paints. They're all really, I think they are all great so far that I've used. I've used 3 brands of it now. I used a little bit of stuff from the Express line from Vallejo, and it looked pretty good. I actually tried to find the color I used in Germany, and of course it's not here yet. It was a new release color. But there's a lot of methods, and I feel the dry brush one is a great way to just get started, to just see that you like painting. If you're certain you want to paint, then go ahead and spend a little money on getting a base set. I think they have a 25 bottle or 20 bottle set. Army Painter. Their metallics, they have new metallics that are supposed to be very good too. I have not used those. That's one of the things I want to try with Iron Man. So they use, on their metallics, they use aluminum. And on these, generally they use mica. But I will tell you, this one looks great. This looks like what I want Iron Man to look like. Now, it's darker. When you do the dry brush zenithal highlighting, it's harder to get it to be as bright as it can be with an airbrush. Because the airbrush can get it in there no problem. Dry brush, it's a little challenging to get it in there. I really like her hair. Turned out really cool. I love this one. This is the first one where I did some highlights, and then I went crazy on the Gamora one, where I actually was painting lines of white on top before I put the color on. But yeah, these look great, and I think these would be fantastic on the table. Hey, as a matter of fact, let's just paint these edges black. These are really kind of done. Of course, this is dry. It's not completely, but it's almost peeling off. Let's see if I can get it off. Nope. But yeah, I feel it's a fun hobby. I really like it. I wish I had more time to paint. I love to do it. It's very relaxing and lets me focus on stuff. So let's see here. I wonder what one you were talking about was Loki. I should have pulled it out. Loki's goofy. I mean, he's fun. He looks like the chibi ones are pretty silly. Okay. Let's see if this brush will do it. This one. Now, the issue with these brushes is the 3, 4, 5s were great. And maybe even 6s, actually. The smaller ones were not so good. But they don't look that different from the ones I was just using, which are from Saks. These are from Royal & Langnickel. But I bought a bottle of 144 brushes of Royal Langnickel ones from Amazon. It was $30 or $28. I don't know if that deal's still there all the time, but there's deals like that all the time. And for me, now, that's a lot of brushes for somebody who doesn't know if they want to paint. But I love painting, so I don't mind that amount of money, or that amount of brushes. I will get through them probably. I don't feel as precious about them, and I still care for them. But once they start to go bad, I just switch out. And I can do quite a few minis with one brush. Now, the downer is I had purchased, what was it, Zem. They were on eBay, and I loved those. But then I was using one of them for a long time. Then I switched to another one and it was not very good. So I don't know if that's a manufacturing difference or, you know, whatever. I did buy them at the same time, but I was disappointed that its quality wasn't as fantastic as the first one. One thing that a lot of people do is they'll airbrush and then they come back in with a dry brush to get, like, you can see these brighter edges, which you cannot do with a airbrush, easily anyway. And that's something I haven't tried, which I want to try. Just do a quick dry brush at the end. I mean, before painting the Mini. And I still dry brush after too, depending on what I'm doing. It's not focusing. That is great. Got black paint on the palette, might as well do the painting on this one. Okay. So let's put a little bit of the black on. Awesome, thanks, Jay Bringus. I did do a stream a while back where I actually went over a lot of the gear. And you can look at that. It was a few months back. It's on YouTube as well. And it was covering how much, like what you should spend. Again, I don't want you to spend, you shouldn't spend a lot to get started. But I understand like wanting to get like a set of paints that I just touched this and it's not dry. Let's fix it. Shouldn't be picking at that paint. Actually, maybe I let it dry. Now it's still wet there, so I can do it. But yeah, it's just, you can go crazy and spend, I mean, I have too many airbrushes, but part of the reason why I keep getting them is I'm like trying to recommend stuff for folks, but ultimately I feel you should spend the money and probably go for a solid name brand airbrush. And I really love them. I think it's worth having one and getting used to using them. They're not that hard to do. It's the getting the paint mix correct, and there's tons of videos on YouTube that explain all that stuff. Wow, it really dries fast. Mostly it's just something's clogging the nozzle. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential, and it's super fun, and it means that you have painted minis on the table, so that when you play the games, people are gonna have fun playing with them. I mean, it's definitely, when we played Marvel United on the show, that was exciting to actually have the painted minis. Everybody was happy, because you know they're gonna just be pink or red or blue, and that's totally fine. Let's see here, because this is the rest of the Spider-Geddon stuff that I thought I'd already primed. I haven't even punched this all yet. And I think there's supposed to be some plastic tokens that are coming with the main set. But yeah, so here's the three different colors of the minis. And there's also some that are have like transparent, like Phoenix has like flames, so it's a transparent orange. 130. Putting them back in the box. But yeah, this is one I want to paint. 124. So they have their spot in the box marked, and I wished I had a better storage. I don't have, I'm not putting these back into the boxes, which I should, but the reality is I'm nervous about the paint sticking to these holders, you know, these vacuum form trays. But so yeah, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to prime. I do love the game though, it's fun. I don't know that you need to spend that kind of money on it, like I have, because I've spent over $1,000 easily. Probably $1,200, I can't even remember. No, probably about $1,000. Because I backed all the Kickstarters. I was always thinking I'm not going to go for it. I won't go crazy, won't get the whole thing, but then I end up doing it because I love the miniatures. They're really great. So I'm getting close to needing to wrap up. I have Candace showing up at some point. Let me see if she's messaged me here. Nope, not yet. Although I say that now, and she will message me. I have like this weird psychic ability to have when I need to talk to Candace, or when I'm going to talk to Candace, it happens. Let me do a little bit of the Black Templar. I thought you were doing pretty good, David. David's saying he is enjoying painting the few that he's done. He was working on the Horrified base one with the Universal Monsters, and they look pretty darn good. And those are tiny minis, comparatively. That's one of the fun things about these Marvel United sets. I mean, you can get a set for sometimes as little as $15, maybe even less on sale. It's from Spin Master, so they do a lot of discount pricing and stuff. And it comes with 9 minis or 10 minis. It's worth getting. And there's actually sometimes deals where you'll get an extra mini, like they had, actually it might have been Spider-Verse, the main game, and Doctor Strange, maybe? I might be remembering that wrong. Might be just Doctor Strange. Those are a pretty good price too. But they're great because they're big. I mean, these are really big minis. You know, this Space Marine is huge. But he's Primaris. The standard ones aren't so gigantic. I mean, here's a Terminator. Terminators are big. This is an old Terminator. He's tiny compared. He's comparatively the same size. But this guy's in Standard Marine armor. This is in Terminator armor. Terminator armor is big. So they've changed it. And then you have these Dark Eldar. Now, I don't know what they... This is an old Mini. 20 years old? 23 years old? It's dinky. So it's more of a challenge to paint. Now, it's good to get painting that kind of stuff. I mean, if you're going to do D&D minis, they're very small. I mean, you know, the characters, the dragons and stuff can be large. But these are great minis to paint. They're fun. I really like painting the chibis. They're fun. And you can get going and get into the hobby and the skill pretty easily. I mean, you can also just look through your games. I'm certain you have minis that you would like to paint. And don't be afraid, you can actually strip them pretty easily if you've done a bad job. But I don't feel you should ever redo anything that you've done unless it's truly terrible. And mostly that's when you're a little kid. Because you want to see your evolution. I have some minis, I need to track them down. They're in here somewhere that I painted when I was probably 12. And I'm pretty sure they were pretty good. Not phenomenal, but pretty good. Because I was a kid, but I figured, I mean, I was painting with enamels, which is the worst, just because it's so messy. I really, hey, I think that was Candace. What do you want to bet? I think it is, hold on. It is Candace, and she's on her way. That is too funny. I'll paint this though. Yeah, these are fun, and the game is fun. It's light. It's a family game. When Eric had done it, he told me that was kind of like the level of game. He had just done Ankh, and had spent a lot of time play testing it, and he was kind of just done with doing big, deeper games. So he has been moving towards, he is working on some other bigger, deeper things, I think, but he's been working on some more family-oriented stuff. He's been working with Exploding Kittens and Exploding Kittens. And so, I think he's got some. He's also got some games coming from another publisher that are definitely family, and it's a family-oriented publisher. But it's pretty exciting, and he's also got another game from a major publisher. So I'm excited about it. I did not get to play it at BGG-Con. We kept trying, and it didn't happen. I'm really bummed because I wanted to try it out. Just touched my hand to it. Ugh, too much paint. I also think these paints are thicker in cool weather, because these are definitely thicker than I'm used to. Okay. I definitely varnish them when I'm done, especially if they're going to be games that are played. And I mostly use matte varnish, sometimes satin, and then of course sometimes some gloss if I'm trying to do some gem or something. I actually need to try airbrushing on the varnish. I tried it a couple times and I was just, you really need to have like a good mask on if you're, even outdoors, I think for that stuff, it's just nasty. But I'd like to get better at it because I think that would, supposedly spraying on varnish is more durable than brushing it on. And that may be because when you're brushing on varnish, it's not perfectly smooth. It does a pretty darn good job of self-leveling, but it's not perfect. And that doesn't even matter. It looks fine to me. It's just in the usage. Now, Goobertown Hobbies did an experiment where he did several experiments where he was painting them and then handling them and varnishing them and determined like that the spray version was strong. I think that was even spraying on with an airbrush. I can't remember. But I think that is the case. It is, I've heard over the years that it's longer lasting if you spray it on. But I don't abuse them too much. If you're playing with some kids, maybe you would want to spray it. Now, obviously, I believe a shiny one is going to last the longest, but you don't want to necessarily do that. Okay, well, there you go. There's a couple. Okay, well, let me swap to the other camera. Get back to that. There we go. Cool. Well, thanks for joining me today. What is your thoughts on sleeving games? Would you sleeve even a cheap game? So, Joseph, we sleeve games on GameNight because we're sponsored by GameGenic. But I will tell you, I used to sleeve games when I was playing games. They're, my own games, and I was playing them a bunch. Once we started doing GameNight, we don't get to play as many games as we would normally do. But sleeving the games is fantastic, and I love the matte version. They have the matte sleeves. They shuffle smoother. You do the smoosh shuffle, because I'm not great at shuffling with sleeves. You do the smoosh shuffle, and they just glide together. And I love the look of those matte sleeves. It just depends on how much you're using the game, right? If you're playing a game a lot, we were talking about this weekend how publishers don't put a lot of room in their boxes for sleeve versions of the cards. And why should they, right? Ultimately, they want you to buy another copy of the game maybe if you beat it up, if you love it so much. But sleeving's it's not a bad thing. And I think if you're going to play it, we've sleeved games that have 26 cards, and they're not and you say a cheap game. Sometimes sleeving a cheap game is important because the cards are so thin and the quality is so poor. So it's really up to you, but I think it's worth it, especially now that we've got these matte sleeves. Because my biggest gripe about the shiny sleeves before is they would start to get sticky and just make it impossible to sleeve. Now, to shuffle. I've not done it. Hey, thanks for the follow. Hi, Millie Chan. So yeah, I think it's worth sleeving. It's just up to you. It's a cost. It makes the cards bigger in your box for storing it. We actually have been using the GameGenic deck boxes. If they fit inside there's actually some new deck boxes called the Bastion, but they have like a 50 card version. They're great and they're smaller. We have the 100 ones. They're hard plastic. You can see inside the box. They're great. It's true. Sleeves can have for Braille and for colorblind people. That's true. It's worth it. It's up to you. When you don't play, so we would play games once or twice. I didn't think it was worth sleeving them. I basically had purchased 100 packages of sleeves or something like that. I ended up giving them to a friend, and then we got sponsored by GameGenic, and we started sleeving. And it's more work to sleeve it, but I really like the I really like the quality. I love matte. I wish, you know, I'm happy these guys are doing it. I wished others would, because I think the matte sleeves are really solid. We did play Marvel Champions, and they don't have matte versions of those sleeves. So they have the art backs, which are really nice, but the fronts are shiny. And they got a little scratched just from us doing the shuffling. You know, I generally do the, you know, the smush or the whatever. So yeah, you know, the matte ones look better. They stay nicer longer for sure. And they're pretty durable. Deck box is now like Potato Man. Yep. We have the Potato Man. We did not put it in a deck box. We have that in the main box, but it was, as a matter of fact, it didn't really fit. Nikki has it like the lid slightly stacked up, and we have them in at an angle, which is a bummer. Yeah, I would like to actually use, we have several of the GameGenic and Quiver deck box. You know, they're long ones that you can put a bunch of games in. We actually have set some of those up for when we're going to a con. I'd like to actually sleeve them and do the same thing. Because generally playing, on Saturday we filmed, or no, Friday we filmed, and we went to have some dinner afterwards, and we played Sea Salt and Pepper. And we first played, which you don't want to sleeve, the new version of Silver and Gold, which is fantastic, by the way. It's called Silver and Gold Pyramids. Played that first because Deborah loves that, and we wanted to actually film it with her. Thanks, Barn Summer 330 for the follow. But yeah, Deborah loves Silver and Gold, so we were going to film it with her, but we just ended up running out of time. We'll probably film it with her, hopefully. But we all loved it, and then we started playing Silver and Gold. I mean, Sea Salt and Paper, and that was sleeved, and it fit in the box, which was, I think, cannot remember now. I might be confusing it with Nana. We just filmed Nana, put that episode last week, but we had played it again, and I pulled the cards out, and they were sleeved. I think that's the one I'm remembering. Those Quivers are fantastic. The GameGenic ones are great too. They actually make, well, I think Quiver has a small one now. They have the small ones. GameGenics are fabric on the exterior, and the Quivers are vinyl. I have like a purple one and an orange one, I think, or maybe a black one. I don't think I might have an orange one because we got sent, when the BGG store sells Quivers, we have like a BGG exclusive color set, I think, or something. I wish I had purple on it though. Purple and orange would be fantastic. Anyway, yeah, Trio's awesome. Game's great. Both versions are awesome. I friended the artist, the Japanese artist that did the art for Nana, and she's great. I saw, and you know, we were chatting, and I told her that we were supposed to go to Tokyo Game Market in May of 2020, and she's like, "Oh, it'd be great if you go again." I'm like, "Maybe. I would love to go." I mean, I had a great time in Japan, and Nikki and I were both going to go on that trip. That was the plan anyway. Anyway, you guys have a great one. We'll be back on Thursday at 5:30. Don't forget to support BGG if you're interested in what we do here with Game Night and the paint streams. During the month of December, we do our support drive. It's boardgamegeek.com/support. You can also, at the bottom of that page, it says if you've sponsored, if you've backed us, you can say why you've backed it. And if you want to say something like you like Game Night, that'd be awesome. But whatever, the site's fantastic, and I am on it every single day, and I back it twice a year. I back it during the fundraiser, and then I also back it in January to get the new patron badge. Oh, here's the compressor. Goodness gracious. I tucked it away in a good spot, but not very visible. So anyway, this is the compressor. It's a little rechargeable compressor, has a hose. I actually have a quick release on it, and it's great. You don't have to spend, I mean, it's $60 and you get another airbrush, so that could get you started on airbrushing, and then you could spend more money if you want to go with a better compressor. I definitely recommend a quiet one. This one's quiet though. I just don't know how long it'll last. I had a friend that had one that has used it a bunch and has had nothing but great time with it, and me too so far. I've used it probably 12 times, maybe more, a little more. Anyway, you guys have a great one. Let me see if I can find somebody to raid. I'm sorry the YouTube people won't get to raid. Let's see. Rado runs through. I think that's about it. It does not look like Rado's there, but they got Ray and Ruel's on. I like Ray. She works for the... I think that's Ray. Anyway, she's a great streamer. So yeah, Thursday afternoon. Thursday evening, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And we're going to raid. Take care, everybody. And YouTube folks, you guys take care as well. And have a great week, and hope to see you on Thursday.